Hi, this is Tad from Island, and today I'm joined by Tim Dees, who is one of our SEs based in Idaho. Hey, Tim.
Hey, Deb.
Hey, so you were telling me about an interesting customer challenge you're working on regarding credit cards that were being displayed maybe inappropriately and how you could solve that with the enterprise browser. Tell me more.
Yeah, certainly. So, was talking to a customer that they're a convenience store chain out here in the Pacific Northwest, and they've got a very mature IT stack, probably abnormally so given their space, but they've got very good controls in their environment. But they came to us because they were looking for something that they've been trying to solve with their very extensive amount of security tools. They just hadn't been able to solve this, and that was in their payment processing application. It's kind of a legacy application, and generally it does a pretty good job of handling payment data and all of that. But when they went to go issue a refund, the store manager had to go into basically all of the purchase records for the day and find the record for the credit card that needed to be refunded in order to process that refund. Well, those credit card numbers, when they were doing that refund, the credit card numbers were in plain text, and so they tried with several other tools, and it either broke the app or it didn't work. And so they're trying to figure out a way to obfuscate that data. That's kind of what they initially brought to us, and what we were able to solve for them actually very simply and very easily with the Island browser.
How are we doing that with Island? Like for anyone who hasn't seen this yet, walk through of what that looks like for the user who's actually interacting with that web application.
Yeah, so the beauty of the Island browser is because of where we sit as the browser itself, rather than trying to break and inspect traffic on the network or looking at it as it traverses the wire. It gives us the ability to apply what we call last mile controls, which is changing either process or workflow or just the way that data is displayed to that end user on the screen. So between when it lands on the endpoint device and when we choose to display it on the screen, we actually have a point there where we can actually manipulate that data. And so for us, it's very simple to identify, hey, that's a credit card number. And whenever I see a credit card number anywhere on this particular application or this web page, I want to do something different with it, whether it's a complete mask or partially masking it or whatever. And in this case, ultimately that store manager needs to be able to see that credit card number, but they only want to show that one credit card number. So we're able to even apply some additional workflow. We mask all of the credit card numbers, but when he finds the one he wants, he can click on it and it'll give him a little pop-up that says, hey, are you sure you want to show this? But then it's able to reveal that credit card number to him so he can finish processing that refund. So it's a very, got a lot of dexterity to the solution that allows us to satisfy the use case, give them a full audit log of what's happening, but still protecting the rest of that data.
Yeah. And I think what's great about using Island in this use case is there's no dependency on the actual application on the far end. We're not changing the application code. We're not modifying any of that. So it can all be done directly through the enterprise browser.
It doesn't require any sort of integration. I can do this in any application, and in this case, it is a pretty legacy application. So it's not modern in any way, and so but it doesn't matter. We don't require any sort of integration or APIs or any of that kind of stuff. We just control literally the HTML code that's rendered on the page is the level at which we're able to apply this particular control. So it worked very well for them.
Very cool. And you mentioned this customer also had a few other, once you solved this challenge with them, they had a couple other use cases they were able to knock out as well.
Yeah, it was actually very interesting. They came to us for this one thing that was a gap in their current security stack, but as we kind of showed them what the Island browser could do, it really occurred to them that, hey, there's so much more that they were doing today with other, legacy tools that either would be better served by doing an Island or certainly reduce complexity. An example of that is their store users. They operate their stores in a very, very restricted environment. And so they are on an explicit whitelist as far as the websites and tools that they can use from a store computer. And so today they were managing, initially they were managing that with a firewall. And so, hey, if I want to turn on access to this particular website, I have to not only whitelist that website, but then I have to go in and figure out all of the other URLs and APIs and content delivery networks and everything else that that website is using, and whitelist all of those as well. So just whitelisting website was a big undertaking, but then there was this constant evolving, list of sites as those websites changed the content delivery networks they worked with or the APIs that they called. So it was just this very, very complex operation for them to try and keep these websites working that they needed to whitelist. And so with Island, because of where we sit, we have the full context of not only the initial website request, but then those subsequent requests. So for us, we whitelist that root website, and then all of those subsequent calls that website makes are also automatically whitelisted, so that you don't have to manage all of that complexity. And it's much simpler to do within the Island browser and the management console that comes with it. So that was one really big one. Yeah.
With that, it sounds like you're both, improving the experience for the store users, but also you're improving the experience for the team that has to manage this, because you're giving them a much simpler process.
Absolutely. And kind of to the improving the life of the store user, one of the other use cases that they were able to solve with Island that they haven't been able to solve, with other tools is allowing those end users a little bit broader scope of websites they can get to while they're on their break. So kind of this time-based whitelist, so that, hey, if you're on your break, you can spend 15 or 20 minutes of your day browsing TikTok or going to Facebook or doing whatever you want to do when you're in the back room of the store on your break. But then as that time expires, then, hey, it's time to get back to work, and I'm going to shut down the access to those other websites. That's one that we're still kind of building out for them, kind of what they'll exactly look like. But that's another use case, kind of enabling that end user and making their life a little bit better as well, because of the controls that we can apply and make sure that that activity stays isolated and separate from any sort of work activity, applying some additional boundaries around it.
Well, I like this. It's a good example of with the enterprise browser, we're not only satisfying security controls, we're also improving the end user experience and ultimately helping the business to deliver on the critical workflows for that organization.
Yeah, and they're very excited about it.
Well, thanks so much, Tim. We'll have you back here soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, Ted.